And today we're going to talk about a number of really important things, such as the hearing yesterday on the ASO delays. We're talking about the House Judiciary Committee and what they're doing on the reconciliation bill that affects visa wastage. And finally, we're going to talk about ability to pay. So I hope you are ready to take in all this information. We're going to give people a few minutes to join. And I hope you all had a fruitful and restful weekend and are getting ready if you are thinking about downgrading or thinking about filing in October, getting all your paperwork ready so that you're not filing at the last minute. So let us go ahead and, like I said, I'm giving folks a few minutes to join because otherwise we end up having to repeat some of the things that we cover. But like I said, there's a lot of interesting news in immigration, and it's going to be a dynamic subject going forward. So let's go ahead now and get started. I wanted to give folks a few more seconds, but I know we've got our friends on YouTube Live. Hello, thank you for joining. And so I don't want to keep those individuals waiting. So interestingly, there was a hearing yesterday on the Chakrabarti case on AOS delays and green card laws. So the USCIS adjudicated at least 148,000 of the 262,288 limit. USCIS projects that they will probably adjudicate about 179,000 by the September 30th deadline before the end of the fiscal year. So the attorney for the plaintiff noted that the USCIS doesn't have a plan, and the government couldn't answer basic questions about 96 of how many of the 196 plaintiffs can expect to be adjudicated this year. It takes approximately 1.53 hours to adjudicate an I-485. The judge notes that he wants to transfer the venue to where the plaintiffs each reside and is inclined to deny a preliminary injunction. The judge seems to have already decided ahead of the written argument on the deadline on Friday. On the House note, so what does that mean? That means we really didn't make much momentum with that court case. And 179,000 would mean that there are approximately, 90,000 that will not be adjudicated, that are eligible. So the House Judiciary Committee met for the Immigration Language and the Reconciliation Bill. And the new section in the INA, so they're proposing, that's what Congress can do. Congress is the only body that can propose new legislation. So the new section in the INA would allow anyone in 4 categories to adjust status if they pay a supplemental fee of $1,500 and pass security and law enforcement checks in the medical exam. The categories are Dreamers, Essential Workers, TPS, and DED. So essential workers that continuously are present in the United States since 1/1/21 and demonstrate a consistent record of earned income in a U.S. occupation listed in the DHS advisory memorandum, ensuring the ability to work during COVID time period. And so that's not really helping our cause with the, the visa wastage, but at least the discussion is still open, which means that there is still time to try to, ensure that we're able to get something through. I always said that it usually something, the most highly awaited legislation usually happens at the very end. So don't give up hope is what I want to say. The visa bulletin was released for October, and as we expected, there's not a lot of movement on that front. And there have been some inconsistencies with Charlie Oppenheim's predictions. Dates for EB3 retrogress for about 2 months, and dates for EB2 move forward for about 6 months. And today's chats with Charlie at 1, and we'll see if we will have, like we did last month, a chat with our Telegram group tomorrow, and so we can talk about, you know, what his proposed predictions are. So I have been telling everybody from the very beginning that you should have an EB2 and an EB3 alive, because you don't know how it's going to move. Even Charlie didn't know how it's going to move. So you want to make sure that you have the maximum amount of opportunities to make sure you can, you know, adjust status in the US. And a lot of people kept thinking, oh, it'll be okay if I have an EB3, because, you know, EB3 seems to be moving fast. But that's today. And so, you know, the dynamic relationship between what the USCIS is processing, what's happening overseas, and what the visa bulletin will say are all in play. And so when you have these, when you have a number of factors that are in play, you want to make sure you hedge your bets. So you hedge your bets by having both the EB2 and EB3. Now, as I told you, every week I'm going to talk a little bit about the downgrades and some issues that are critical for downgrading. So this week we're talking about ability to pay. Now, ability to pay, anytime you file a I-140, even if it's sort of downgrade, and even if you've been previously approved by the same employer, they're going to assess whether there is ability to pay. So the prospective U.S. employer has to demonstrate ability to pay from the time the perm was filed up till they receive a green card. But in practical purposes, it is up to the time that they file their I-140. So there are 3 ways in which you can demonstrate ability to pay. The employer can show that the proffered wage, which is the wage on the perm, is equal to their net current income on their tax returns for all the years from the time the perm was pending till the I-140 is approved. I mean, I-140 is filed. Or they can show a positive net current assets, which is on the balance sheet of their tax returns. Or they can show that they have been paying the employee the ability to pay. Or they can show all of the above, or a combination of various factors. Now, I know that for those employers that have, you know, a really, you know, they're filing many I-140s at one time, the USCIS will often show ability to pay for all the employees that you're filing at this time. There is an exception to that. If the employer has been paying the prevailing wage to the employee, they don't have to demonstrate ability to pay for all their employees. So that's one of the benefits of working for the employer currently that is filing your I-140 that's connected to your I-485. Now, if you are working with an employer that you worked for previously and you're no longer with that employer, then you really want to make sure that you look at the ability to pay issues before you file. And if they're not willing to share it with you, have them share it with your attorney. I know that we looked at a lot of financials before filing our I-140s last year, where the employer was more comfortable sharing the financial information with the attorney. So for one particular case that we were filing, it had been 4 years since the employee worked for the employer. So 1 year, we were able to demonstrate net current income. 1 year, we showed a combination of the net current income and the net current assets. So we were able to leverage the 3 buckets that we're able to pull from to show ability to pay for the entire duration. So that's something that's really important to know, because that's one of the critical factors to be able to use, the ability to pay analysis for your employees going forward. So that is ability to pay in a nutshell. And so this, like I said, it's one of the most critical areas that you need to look into. Next week, we're going to talk a little bit about what happens if your I-140. What are the situations in which the perm can get denied or the I-140 can get denied? How does that impact you? If you don't have another I-140, if you have a current I-140, those are some of the things that we'll talk about next week. And the other criteria, in addition to ability to pay, is you have to show that you have the education experience before you join the employer. One of the things that I'm reminded that I wanted to highlight to all of you today is about the recapture. The recapture of unused visa numbers. The recapture of family visas and employment visas unused between 1982 and 2021, this is part of the reconciliation bill, are automatically recaptured going forward. DV visa still remains unavailable from 2017 to 2021, and if that they would allow that if the refusal was due to the Trump visa, the Trump ban on diversity visas. The DHS may accept, approved I-130, I-130s that pay a supplemental fee of $1,500 plus $250 for each derivative that would be eligible to adjust if they have a priority date more than 2 years old. This would take effect probably May 1st, 2021. And so we have to still see how that is going to play out. The USCIS shall have an appropriated $2.8 billion to increase their capacity to handle the new programs under these two bills. So, like I said, it's not a perfect fix, but they're still in reconciliation. They're still in discussion, so we'll see how that plays out. And that is it for today and our update. So let's look to see if Mr. Challa can come in to moderate. I know we're a little early. We're trying to finish up the updates by 15 minutes so that people have more time to ask questions.
That's good. Good afternoon. How are you?
Mr. Challa seems to be having some technical vocal difficulties. So while he's getting...
Hello, can you hear me now? No.
Oh, you all can hear him? Okay, good. They said they can hear you.
Can you hear me though?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, good. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Seems to be a little sunny and a little chilly compared to yesterday. That's all we can do, compare one day at a time.
Fall is upon us.
Yeah, so let's look at some questions. As usual, I request you'll submit the questions in the Q&A box and not the chat, and use the chat exclusively for answering any follow-up questions, your attorney is asking while she's answering your question. So it makes it easy for me to relay. But do pick up the question that is there on YouTube, on the chat, YouTube question on the chat. Let's start from there this time, but don't put any more questions in the chat. So first question, when will we know the legal immigration language has added to the Senate version? And when will Senate rule on this?
Well, they understand that they have a deadline, so they're working on it. We have to see, when it goes into reconciliation, basically what they're trying to do is reconcile the two versions, the House version and the Senate version. And that is kind of a work in progress, but I'm going to reach out today to some of my contacts that are in Congress and see what the latest scoop is on the reconciliation. And I'll get back to you. So join us on our Telegram group, where I will share with them what our resources say about what's happening with the immigration bill from the inside scoop.
All right. Next one is another YouTube question from Rao Bhopal. Priority date 1st August 2011. Applied to downgrade and got E80 AP I-140 approved. Biometrics complete. Medicals submitted with AOS. Current in EB2. Should I interfile? Can you suggest, please?
Can you say that again? He has his
priority date of August 1st, 2011. Applied to downgrade and got E80 AP I-140 approved. Biometrics complete. Medical submitted with AOS. Current in EB2. Should I interfile? Can you suggest, please?
Yes. Now that your I-140 is approved, remember you cannot interfile until your I-140 is approved. All you need to do is interfile. Is your attorney would just inform USCIS that you have two I-140s that are eligible, and that I-140 is is current right now. So to use that to adjust status.
All right. So I'm taking questions from the Q&A box. So please do put your questions here. First one from the anonymous attendee. My priority date is March 2014. As it is mentioned in October visa bulletin, the EB3 for India will be retrogressed. Does that mean the downgrade is no use? I don't have any active EB2 I-140 as my current employer withdrew it when I moved out of the organization last time.
So did you file the I-140 with your previous employer or your current employer?
I do not have any active EB2 I-140 as my current employer withdrew it when I moved out of the organization last time. Looks like he joined back. When you say last time means?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're still working for that employer, or did you port pursuant to AC 21?
Well, Mr. AA or Miss AA or Mrs. AA, if you can respond in the chat, that would be good. In the meantime, we'll take the next question. Sudhir Patro is asking, I filed my 485 without medicals and waiting for RFE to submit the medical. A priority date is current now. Can I do interfiling and submit the medicals, and what will be the process? My priority date is March 12th, EB3 category.
Right, and we went over this process. Maybe Kara's got the link, but maybe we didn't mark that particular webinar where I talk about it. But you have to first make sure, especially at this juncture, where your I-485 is. Is it still at the service center, or is it at the local office? If you can determine that, I would go ahead and interfile. And how you do that is you send it by either, I would say FedEx. You have a cover letter where you reference each and every medical that has been filed that you are supplementing, like your spouse, your children, with you as the primary. So you would have your name, your A number, your I-485 receipt number, same with your derivatives. And then you just let them know that you're trying to join the medicals. On your FedEx sheet, I would also say medicals and put the primary individual's adjustment receipt number on top. But that's after you determine it's still at the service center.
All right. So the question on that anonymous attendee, he or she has not given your question. He just said ignore. But I don't know if he's going to answer, he or she, but I'll take the next question. What are the risks for changing job on GCEAD now? I-140 485 filed last October, also submitted medical and 485J approved and case transferred to Texas Center from MSC. SOC code with new employer is going to be the same as existing employer, as there is a possibility of EB3 retrogression in coming months.
Could be. I mean, no one predicted the retrogression for, for recently. I mean, everyone said it would not happen. I didn't think it would happen, but that just shows the vast number of EB3 filings for this year. So, it's always good if you can to have both the EB2 and the EB3 just in case. Now, your question on whether you can change employers, if your I-140 is approved, I-485 has been pending for 180 days, and it's clearly if the SOC code is the same, it's same or similar, you can change employers. You'd need to file a new I-485J, and there should not be any problem with porting at this point.
All right, Mr. Rao Bopa is asking from YouTube again. I guess people from YouTube, I don't know why they are putting in the chat. Maybe
I think maybe it automatically goes in the chat.
Yeah. So his follow-up question, last month, the CEO said dates will not retrogress last month, and his stance changed completely with October Bulletin. People with 2012, 2013 getting GCs, but 2011 ground graves are left behind from SRC, TSC.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And I don't think, either he didn't get the numbers in time from, or get them correctly from the USCIS, but clearly somebody dropped the ball. And so you're right. And so right now, what we do know is we can't rely fully on the data that he tells us. So that's why I have been saying for the past couple of months, I even told some of my family members, make sure you have an EB2 and an EB3 because, you can always retrogress. And so you have your bang for your buck.
That person from anonymous attendee, he said he or she, or they're going to send an email with all the details. Fantastic. So our email is info@shalalaw.com, just in case if you didn't get a chance to.
And Shaker, before you take the next question, I wanted to share with our folks. Let me see, I put it. So I wanted to make sure that all of you connect with us on various social media. We are hitting the close to the end of the third quarter. I mean, it is going to be crunch time the next few couple of weeks. So you want to make sure that you get the information from us as soon as we hear about it. And we've got various mediums in which we do that. One is Facebook. There is a link at the bottom. You can use the link and get to it, or you get your phone up if you're on your computer and you put your camera in front of the QR code and it will give you a link. So, like us on Facebook. Oops. Also, we've got all these. I know that we're doing YouTube Live, and I'm going to schedule like a series of short, less than 15-minute videos. It could be 5 minutes, 7 minutes, but very short videos on what you should, on all the topics that we talk about in bits and pieces, so that you can pick the video, the resource that is very critical to you in your immigration journey and not have to spend too much time. Now, even for this, we would like you to, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, if you're on the computer, if you put up the QR code, it will take you to the link, and then you can subscribe to our YouTube channel so that when we do post a new video, you will be alerted immediately. Webinars. Next week and the week after, like I said, this is crunch time. So make sure that if you've got friends that are going through this process, that you share our webinar details for them. You can get a link, YouTube folks, especially for you, get a link by doing the same thing or copying the link at the bottom. I'm sure Kara may share, I don't know if she can share the PDF through the chat, but this is another way in which you can join our webinar, stay connected with us. And I guess, Kara, we don't have the Telegram. Oh, here it is. I skipped over it. My bad. So we have a Telegram group. This is a wonderful community of individuals that are going through exactly what you're going through. What's great is everyone serves as a resource for everybody else. You get answers, we chime in, we upload posts, and unlike other immigration forums, we don't charge you for it. That's what I didn't like about the other forums that I had seen. They were all in it for the money, not to be a public service and a public resource. So here is a place that you can get your information, and no one's going to try to charge you to try to help you out. And if you think that our service is good, please share that with your friends. And again, there's a link at the bottom, or you can use a QR code. I love QR codes now. I think they are so great because it gets you right to where you need. And in that respect, you can join our group. So let me see. There we go. And I will go back to, where is the thing for me to unshare? Okay, here it is. There we go.
All right. We'll take a question from YouTube chat. Pradeep Kumar. Good afternoon, Lakshmi. Can you please let us know if EB3 or EB2 India will reach August 2014 in filing dates or final action dates in 2022?
We don't know, but we also have this legislation that's, the reconciliation bill that it's supposed to try to address some of this. So really, I wish I could tell you more definitively, but there's a lot of things that can happen between now and October 1st, which is why I'm asking everyone to make sure that they join our various platforms so that, we're able to communicate that to you as soon as we hear it.
Choose your preferred platform or choose all of them. Information overload sometimes is good, especially in immigration.
And we in Telegram, it may be just a snippet. Hey, this has come up. We've got all our articles that we post in Facebook. YouTube has our videos. And like I said, we're going to be putting up resources where I do like a 5-minute on ability to pay, 5-minute on CSPA. But you won't know that we've uploaded them unless you register. So each mechanism gives you the information in a different way. And unless, and sometimes you don't need something so detailed. The information that we post on Telegram, quick, trying to get it to you is good enough. Sometimes you need the detail. So that's why you want to be able to access, our information on Facebook. And, with our webinars, especially those on YouTube Live, thank you for your continued support. If you've got friends that are in this process, this is the time. It astounds me that there's so many people that are going through this. We're doing this for free. You've got an hour to ask me questions. That more people don't take advantage of it because, normally for a half an hour with me, you have to pay $250. So I'm here for you for free. And that's what the Telegram group is about as well. It's a free service to make sure you stay informed so you can make smart immigration decisions.
Yeah, and you can also join the mailing list. That way you get the monthly newsletter, any breaking news, so you won't miss that too. So it's a good package all in all. All right, let's go to questions from the Q&A. Anonymous attendees asking, thanks for service. Meanwhile, Charles is saying about the retrogression because of he's not even considering the spillover number and want to stop the downgrade at this point of time and see how Megan amendment is happening. That's a question. So
yeah, no, I know. I mean, I think he's trying to navigate through, like I said, he's got a number of multiple factors that play through, and everyone's hedging their bets on different things. So I think we just have to wait and see how this all plays out.
yeah, I didn't read that question in the dramatic way with the question mark. I was not a good reader for my kids. When they go to sleep, you have to read a book in the night, and I was not good at that. So that shows my.
But you had the expression on your face, so we caught
dramatization. Anyway, they're gone. The kids are gone, so I can't read it to anyone in the night.
grandkids.
For me too. Michael Tellis is asking, is it fair to think that EB3 India won't retrogress beyond July 8th, 2012, which is the date for filing AOS for EB2 per October 2021 visa bulletin?
We don't know. It will also depend on the number of filings that take place this month. Like I said, when you're dealing with any type of mathematical equation where some of those factors that need to be plugged in are unknown, it becomes really difficult to predict what the sum would be with the quotient. Is it the quotient or the sum? At the end of the mathematical, or whatever the answer is going to be.
Okay. All right. This next question is from an AA, and they say, my dependent spouse got her green card approved, but I as primary didn't get an approval. I have tried all possible avenues to fix this error, service requests, ombudsman, and congressional help, but have had no success. If dates retrogress such that I am no longer current, what happens to my spouse's green card? Would she need to return it?
That is the craziest thing I've ever heard of, but I'm not surprised. I'm sorry you're going through this. I would continue. We've had several issues where in the past we would get a response immediately. And I would just continue to hammer the USCIS, EMA. And it may seem frustrating because you've tried Congressional, you've tried the Ombudsman, they may not work. But I think if you keep saying, my wife was approved, what happened to mine? At some point, and especially if you highlight the fact that the end of the year is coming up and you may be penalized as a result of this, that's all you can do, unfortunately.
Do that with the USCIS, can you walk in?
No, you have to. Back in the day, you could make an appointment, an InfoPass appointment, but now they're limiting it because of COVID.
Well, I was going to suggest, like I did 21 plus 30 years ago. I just took my car and just drove in the rain.
Shaker, you wouldn't be able to do that now. They would not let you in.
Yeah. But
that's the unfortunate part.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know who's the person who asked the question, but just don't give up.
He seems to be doing all the right things. You've tried the ombudsman, you've tried the congressman. I never take no for an answer, especially when I know that I'm fighting for the right of someone. So there is an individual right now where the USCIS made a mistake, and I was on the phone with a congressperson 2 days ago because they said, oh, but this is what the USCIS said. I said, but the USCIS is wrong. And not only were they wrong, but it was illegal for them to require that document when, a federal court had enjoined them from doing so. So I said, I'm going to send you, because I didn't think she got it. So I said, I'm going to send you some bullet points, 2 words each, so you can talk to the USCIS again. And so she agreed.
You can do it, put a calendar entry and send the same email every day.
Or no, I would try to, if they're not getting it, I would try to, you want it as simple as possible. Something like USCIS error, derivative approved, principal is still waiting. Something very simple. Yeah. With your
very catchy, because sometimes the subject line, not sometimes, all the time, I always say subject line is most important. Among many things that we get these days, we're busy with opening emails or whatever, even those people. Subject line can make or break communication sometimes.
And hit Twitter. That's my next campaign is going to be online. I'm going to tweet at all the agency individuals and say, you made a mistake. What happened to fairness and this whole new culture that you're supposed to be ushering in with the Biden administration? Where is that? And see what happens.
Michael Tellis, I think that's the person who's having this issue, looks like, I don't know. It says, I keep telling USCIS that they made this error, but Emma and phone agent keep saying the spouse and primary are independent and can happen and hang up on me.
I'm so sorry.
Hang up.
I am so sorry that they're doing that. But I would just continue, maybe even write a letter to the USCIS wherever your file is. Take a copy of your wife's approval notice, send it by FedEx, put your A number or I-45 receipt number on the outside and say, you made a mistake, you approved. They're not going to approve a derivative without approving the primary. It's true that in an adjustment, everyone has to be eligible on their own accord, but your derivatives are dependent on your being able to be approved. So if you're denied, the derivatives don't get their adjustment. So that's a silly thing. Silly, shame on you, Emma, for giving out that information.
Just brainstorm. My last suggestion is you already took congressional help. So if you took one senator help of your state, go to the other senator, or one congressman, go to the neighboring congressman or woman, whatever, I'm just saying, just do everything possible. But thank you. Another one question from an AA, leftover family-based GCs from this year, can we use it next year for employment-based?
It seems to me the recapture is going to be both for the family and employment. And unfortunately, they don't understand. Congress doesn't understand, which is my messaging to them, that families really there hasn't been a wastage for families. There hasn't even been the usage that it demands. So it seems absurd to me that you wouldn't use some of the family spillover for employment, but that's where it is right now.
Well, that's all I have right now. Questions from the chat, from the Q&A box. Let me see if there's anything in the chat. I don't see anything.
Well, if you didn't get a chance to, or you think of a question later, join our Telegram group, because I will most likely be doing a post-Charlie recap after Charlie's 1 o'clock YouTube Q&A tomorrow. Tomorrow night, if you join our Telegram group, I'll do a chat talking about this issue and other issues and kind of trying to understand what is happening. And hopefully I would have heard from my contacts in Congress to get some insight on what's going on with the whole reconciliation.
I want to plug in for the EB5. We've talked about EB5. We had a special guest a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Daniel Robinson. So, just wanted to remind people out there, if anybody is interested in the program, We are still waiting for the regional center program to be, to be renewed. But then we have ways and means put in place. We can be a direct EB5 investor into the regional center program. So we've got that mechanics in place.
Right, and right now you can get the EB5 at a discounted rate of 500,000 until either the appeal, there's an appeal process is in place, or Congress acts. So this is your opportunity to try to get your bang for your EB5 buck. Yeah,
500 as opposed to 900. So just think about it. We need more information. Shoot me an email, cchalla@challalaw.com, or just send it to info@challalaw, and I'll be glad to send you specific information. If you need to talk before, do the same in the email, and send me your contact, your best time and your best number. I'll be glad to talk with you. But love to share that, improvised approach, modified approach to, invest in the regional center, but be considered as a direct EB5 investor. So think about it. You never know. While the discount is there, flashing, let's take advantage.
Right, and with the uncertainty of the visa numbers and the visa bulletin, and what's, when they said there's not going to be any retrogression till third quarter or, next summer, and we're already seeing it now. We don't know what, unless Congress acts and this reconciliation bill goes forward, what is going to be in store. So, I always say all roads lead to Rome, and if it's for something as important as your permanent residence, and we're all almost in limbo until that happens, right? There's so many things that you want to do, you can't do, you don't feel comfortable doing until you get your permanent residence. It's always good to make sure that you have all the options available. So thank you, Shaker, for bringing that up.
Yeah,
I want to thank
Mr. Daniel Robinson says thank you very much for sharing. So Mr. Robinson, thank you very much. By the way, the other day I saw this movie, The Graduate. Just wanted to say, thank you, Mr. Robinson.
No. Let's not. Please not connect.
Anyway.
Daniel is in no way. He's a very successful EB5. He's done great EB5 development, but not only that, he's one of the sharpest, smartest individuals that I've met. Has great sense of how to run a business and in a financial sound way. And he's just been wonderful to work with. I'm agnostic when it comes to EB5 regional centers, but I have a special place in my heart for Daniel and his team, only because they put the investors first. So that's something I really like. I like to see that my folks are well taken care of. So with that, thank you all for joining. I want to thank Kara and my team for putting this together. Join me on Telegram tomorrow, where we can talk a little bit about all these things in kind of a one-on-one approach. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah, I just want to plug in for all the cricket lovers, from this Sunday for the next 60 days, every day, cricket in Dubai, IPL, and followed by World Cup T20. You can go, Dubai, it says it's open for fans. You can buy a ticket and attend live any of those games. So have fun, and I will have fun, and Mr. Robinson, I'm sure, will have fun too, watching cricket.
Watching all the T20, yeah, it should be very exciting.
Yeah.
So thank you, folks, and we will see you next week. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. See you later all. Thank you, Lakshmi.
Thank you.